Thank you. Hello, delegates. This is the Deputy Secretary General, Kwan, and it's both an honor and a pleasure to meet you. I'll be talking about basic rules of procedure in KMUN 2012. And please keep in mind that all the information that I'll present today are available on our website, www.kmun.net. So therefore, today I'm going to be talking about important things that are vital for our conference. So, if you look at the big picture, as our former presenter has said, before all the motions or the resolutions are drafted out, the first foremost thing that we need to do is the roll call. The roll call is a procedure in which the chair determines the attendance, and delegates are only able to vote when they are added on the roll call sheet. So it is very important that delegates please come to the actual conference on time. And if you're late, please make sure that you are added on to the roll call sheet by sending a note. And chairs will call out each delegation in alphabetical order. And delegates can answer either present or present and voting. The difference between present and present voting is that if a delegate who have responded with present and voting in the most recent roll call, the delegate who has responded with present and voting cannot actually abstain from substantive voting. Former presenter has mentioned about the substantive voting. So if you have said present and voting in the roll call, you cannot actually abstain. So you have only 5 ways of answering the substantive vote. And now we will show you a simulation of how roll call is actually conducted.
The committee is now in session. The chair would like to take a roll call. Delegates, you can answer either present or present and voting. Delegate of Brazil.
Present.
Delegate of Norway. Delegate of Romania. Delegate of India.
Present.
Delegate of Tanzania.
Present.
Delegate of France.
Present.
Delegate of Australia.
Present.
Delegate of the Republic of Korea.
Present.
Delegate of Singapore.
Present.
Delegate of Uganda.
Present.
Delegate of Oman.
Present.
Delegate of the United States of America.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Russian Federation.
Present.
Delegate of Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you. And after that, we have something called a quorum. In order for a session to start, there must be at least a minimum of 25% of the entire delegation in order to start a session. So if in the actual conference, if there are less than 25% of all the delegation, the committee cannot start. And next, after the roll call is done, the committee must set the agenda so that the debate takes place. In order to do so, delegates should raise the motion to set the agenda. For those of you who have first heard of this term motion, motions are procedures requested by delegates for the ease of the debate. If the conference is carried out by only general debate, it is likely that delegates will feel exhausted, and it is likely that they will not participate. So we give delegates the right to raise motions, to make new sessions, or to make new kind of debate. Motions can be raised anytime the floor is open. And so when this motion to set the agenda is raised by a delegate, the chair must entertain 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against. And after that, the committee moves directly to the voting procedure. The voting here is simple majority procedural vote. And now we will show you a simulation of how this works.
Are there any motions or points?
Motion.
Delegate of USA.
Motion to set the agenda on agenda item A, calling on the support of the international community in recognizing the violation of children's rights being perpetrated by a systematic vicious cycle of competitive education.
That is in order. The delegate of USA has raised a motion to set the agenda to agenda item A. Now we'll go into procedural vote. In this committee, the chair stands corrected. The chair will entertain 2 speakers for this motion. Delegates who wish to speak for this motion, please raise your placards. Delegate of USA and Delegate of Uganda. Delegate of USA, please approach the podium.
Thank you, Chair and fellow delegates. Good afternoon. This is the Delegate of the United States of America. First, delegates, think. Agenda B is discussing whether the secretariats should buy us a dinner or not. We're representatives of a nation. Our government, individual governments, pay us the money to buy individuals a nice meal, which means that there's no need for us to discuss whether the secretariats should buy us a meal or not. On the other hand, we get more benefits by discussing agenda item A, which is about private education in Korea. Private education has unlimited advantages, and thus, this delegate believes that we should pass this motion to set the agenda on agenda item A and discuss further on regarding private education. Thank you.
Thank you. Please return to your seat. Delegate of Uganda, please approach the podium.
Respectful chairs and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Uganda. And the delegate of Uganda thinks that this agenda item is really important for all the nations to consider. This issue about the education is rising and also in the continent of Africa as well. As one of the delegations in the African continent, the delegate of Uganda would like to hear specific measurements and statements about the Korean education system. So therefore, overall, the delegate of Uganda would like to support to pass the motion about talking about the agenda item A. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the chair will entertain please return to your seat. Now the chair will entertain 2 speakers against this motion. Russian Federation, Australia. Russian Federation, please approach the podium.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, delegates. This delegate of Russian Federation strongly goes against with the motion raised to set the agenda item to agenda item A because agenda item B, secretariats buying us dinner, is a more urgent and important issue to be discussed. All delegates from all over the world just came here in Korea University, and that eating and secretariat buying us dinner is a very important matter since it is closely related to our survival, and that the right to life is the very core value that United Nations have to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Australia, please approach the podium.
Thank you, Chair. This delegate of Australia is also strongly against the motion to set the agenda to agenda item A. And this delegate believes that the agenda item B is an urgent matter as well. And just to continue on with the delegation of Russian Federation, eating is an indispensable activity of every day. And so this is more urgent. So we should the delegates should deal with the agenda item B before moving on to the agenda item B.
Thank you. Please return to your seat. Now the committee will go into procedural vote. This committee will be divided into 2 sections. Now the delegations that are on the presenter, this will be section 1. And the delegations on the side of the chair will be the section 2. Now we'll go into a voting procedure. Staffs, please be in your voting positions. Delegates for this motion, please raise your placards high. Section 1. Section 2.
4, 5.
Thank you. Delegates who are against this motion, please raise your placards high. Section 1. Section 2.
4.
With 9 votes for and 5 votes against, this motion passes. Now the agenda is set to agenda item A.
Thank you. Now that the agenda is set, the committee should set the speaking time. Speaking time refers to the time allotted to each delegate in general debate. If the time is set to 1 minute, a delegate has 1 minute to finish his or her speech. The speaking time can be set by a delegate by raising a motion to set the speaking time, and the chair, with his discretion, can actually set the speaking time for convenience. And now the general debate. General debate is the standard form of debate in which delegates speak for a set length of time in the order established by a speaker's list. So, before moving on to the general debate, chair will announce that the floor is open. And chair will say that now chair would like to, please, those of you who want to be added on the speaker's list, please raise your placards high, and then you can add yourself onto the speaker's list. And in that order, you have the right to make your speech on the podium. And in general debate, you may talk about any topic relevant to the current agenda item on the floor and draft resolution that have been formally introduced to the committee. And after you make your speech, there are 4 ways of yielding your remaining time. Back to the chair, a delegate, and points of information and comments. If you yield your time back to the chair, it means that you will automatically end your speaking time. And if you yield your time to another delegate, that delegate has the remaining time to make his or her speech on the podium. And POI, points of information, refers to the questions raised by the another delegates. And comments, basically, if the delegate opens himself to any comments, other delegates are free to make any comments relevant to the content of the speech made. And now we will show you how this works. First, yielding to the chair.
Now the committee is in general debate. The chair would like to open up the speakers list. Those delegates that wish to be added onto the speakers list, please raise your placards. Delegate of India, delegate of USA, delegate of Australia, delegate of Vietnam, in that order. By chair's discretion, the speaking time will be 1 minute. Delegate of India, please approach the podium.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable delegates, the delegate of India is concerned not only by the immense economic costs that private education is causing to Korea, but also about the effectiveness of such private education. Past the higher education process, competition between those who have been cramming for tests, multiple question tests, through private education, and those who have been allowed for room for creativity differ greatly. So for these reasons, private education is just a problem that should be solved through discussion of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. You have 30 seconds left. How would you like to yield your time?
Back to the chair.
Thank you. Delegate of USA, please approach the podium.
Thank you, Chair and fellow delegates. This is the delegate of USA. And delegates, there are benefits of private education. Private education provides general education level, promotes general education level by providing specialized programs for individual students. Moreover, the high suicide rates of students of ROK is not due to private education or the stress that the students get from private education. And this delegate would like to further discuss this matter further on this conference. And thus, to conclude that the United States of America strongly promotes the private education, and we should promote, the other countries should also promote the private education as well.
Thank you. Delegate, you have 15 seconds left. How would you like to yield your time?
This delegate would like to yield this time to delegate of Uganda.
Thank you. Please return. Delegate of Australia, please approach the podium. Delegate, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you, Chair. There are many problems in the Korea's private educational system, And one of the biggest problems is the severity of the private education, especially the sense of competition that lies in the system. And the fundamental goal of the private education has become, so for instance, it's like tutoring and after-school academies. The goal has not become for fulfilling the pure drive for learning, but instead for the competing in the system where scores are assessed rather than the pure knowledge. So in this kind of system, I think that there should be many amendments made to it. Thank you.
Delegate of Vietnam, please approach the podium.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. This delegate believes that taking into consideration the exacerbating situation of education in the whole country and the world, this delegate believes that instead of private education, we should rely upon public education and should strive for making improvements regarding public education. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate, you have 40 seconds left. How would you like to yield your time?
2 points of information.
The Delegate of Vietnam has yielded herself to points of information. Are there any on the floor? Delegate of Tanzania.
Tanzania is a developing nation as well as Vietnam. This delegate would like to ask whether the countries like us can implement the successful form of public education in our nations.
This delegate believes that the most vital solution for improving public education is financial aid and also technical support from the developed nations, whose education system is much more higher in comparative standards of the developed nations, Tanzania or Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other points of information? Seeing none, Delegate of Vietnam, could you please return to your seat?
And now there are two key concepts here, moderated debate and unmoderated caucus. First, moderated debate. This is a form of debate in which delegates are seated at their seats and raise their hands for a chance to be called to speak by the chairs. So basically, you don't have to come up to the podium and make your speech, but you can make your speech at your seats. And there is no yielding during the moderated debate. And usually this debate is requested for the purpose of faster flow of debate. And in order for a moderated debate to be carried out, a delegate must raise the motion to move into moderated debate. And upon raising this motion, a delegate must specify the duration of moderated debate, the purpose, and the individual speaking time. And the motion requires simple majority procedure vote. And on the other hand, a moderate caucus, in fact, this is the favorite motion raised by the delegates because it is deemed a recess and many people move around freely during a moderate caucus. But the purpose of unmoderated caucus is that we're giving you free time so that you could find allies and you can make your draft resolutions. So use this time wisely. And chair may rule this motion out of order if this is dilatory. And upon raising a motion to move into a moderate caucus, the delegate must specify the duration and the purpose. And it also requires simple majority procedural vote. And now I will show you a simulation of how moderate debate is carried out.
Are there any points or motions on the floor? Delegate of Russian Federation.
Motion to move into moderated debate for the duration of 10 minutes, individual speaking time 45 seconds for the purpose of faster flow of debate.
The Delegate of Russian Federation has raised a motion to move into moderate debate for the duration of 10 minutes, individual speaking time 45 seconds, for the purpose of a faster flow of debate. Now we'll move into procedural vote. Staffs, please move into your voting positions. Now, delegates who are for this motion, please raise your placards. Section 1. Section 2. The delegates who are against this motion, please raise your placards. Section 1. Section 2. With 9 votes for and 4 votes against, this motion passes. Now the committee is in moderate debate. Delegates who wish to speak, please. Delegate of Tanzania, you have 45 seconds.
Developing nations like Tanzania need to enhance its public education since we need to put significant effort in reaching the current status of education of our citizens, which may act as a pivotal pathway to a leading nation for this delegate's country. Therefore, this delegate calls for full support and cooperation of all member nations to contrive means of strengthening the public education and the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other delegate who wishes to speak? A delegate of Australia?
This delegation of Australia is in support of the Northern European education. And instead of focusing on the sports and the academics, there can be non-academic educations like music, dramas, and sports. And also in the Korean education system, there are unequal distributions in the education. And since only those who are able to have the financial support can have like the private tutoring system and so on. And so those who are able have the easier access to those kinds of education. So I believe that it goes with the injustices in the education. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegates, please remember that delegates should not use first-person pronouns. Thank you.
Thank you. So as you can see, in the moderate debate, there is no yielding, and you can actually make your speech at their seats, okay? And now we will show you a simulation of unmoderated caucus.
The delegates who are for this motion, please raise your placards. Section 1. Section 2.
8.
And delegates who are against this motion, please raise your placards. Section 1. Section 2. With 12 votes for and 1 vote against, this motion passes. Now we're in unmoderated caucus.
Yeah, so after this, you can move around freely for 15 minutes, and right now we'll have a break for 15 minutes.